taste like hand.
One of my favorite games of all time is Evil Genius. It's a great mix of RTS with a heavy dash of simulation elements. It was funny, had great art design, and character to spare, but it also had a lot of bugs, and sadly, the only sequel it ever managed to spawn is a really terrible Facebook game. The Dungeon Keeper series definitely helps hold back the tides of withdrawal, so imagine my elation when on April 2nd, War for the Overworld came out of early access and appeared as a full release on Steam, touting to be the true spiritual successor to Dungeon Keeper. I noticed the game had largely positive reviews from Steam users. I strapped myself in and got ready to build diabolical traps and mazes and let myself get addicted one final time before the release of GTA 5 on PC. That satisfying release never came. Perhaps I'm simply chasing the dragon with this one, but War for the Overworld didn't do it for me. It shows a lot of promise, and I'm certain others out there have found their way to overlook the game's imperfections and discovered something to love. And kudos for them. There's definitely some good fun to be had with it, but overall, to me, the game feels slightly unfinished. It's buggy, unstable, and at times, it can be downright annoying. War for the Overworld is a dungeon builder / RTS game. You're given a small plot of land where your evil essence is stored in a core, and it's up to you to have your minions dig out new territory, construct recruitment and training areas for various unit types, and then conquer any enemies in the map. All units need a place to eat, rest, and of course, they need cash to keep them happy. Players can construct defenses and traps, all while researching new unit and defense technology. At its heart, War for the Overworld is pretty fun. Constructing little dungeons and being a tiny little evil spirit god is entertaining. Each round will last anywhere from half an hour to an hour and a half. But at the time of this review, the game doesn't run well. I experienced quite a few crashes while launching. Even though it's not a graphical powerhouse, I wasn't impressed by the frame rate, which at times would chug, oftentimes during longer games, even when I wasn't running recording software. But aside from that, the game also has some weird leftover developer descriptions for some of its items, referring to them as props. At first, this was a little confusing. Is my torture rack a real torture rack, or is it a prop? Because I feel like tormenting my enemies. And it's little crumbs like that that make the game feel like it's in a final beta phase, and not a full release. The UI could use some cleaning up as well. The pointer is gigantic and clunky, and it made me feel like I accidentally had the resolution on my monitor set too low. The interface itself is pretty unintuitive, oftentimes leaving out genre staple information like, how many total units can I supply with my current base configuration? How many minions can I feed with my current food supply? Where do I find each unit's salary? How do I determine a particular unit's needs in a real readable form beside the little emoji that pop up above their heads? What is the minimum efficient room size for these particular rooms? Some rooms require at least a space of 3x3, while others need a 3x5. Why are the unit icons so huge? But perhaps burying some of this information was intentional, as a way to simplify the experience. Having said that, I think the maps themselves are too small. I enjoyed the game the most on Skirmish Mode, where I could dig out my own dungeon and research what I wanted to research. But after a couple of minutes of building, I'd already be on top of my CPU opponent, leaving little or no time for building something intricate or calculating. It just turns into a slugfest, and that's using the game's largest maps available. And that's where a balance issue comes with the game. There is little or no need for building or researching trap technology, especially since the game often devolves into a melee. Most units can overcome defenses in a short amount of time, or simply dig around them. With the map so small, and the matches over so quickly, you can't really savor the more complex units and structures and bases like prisons and torture chambers. The voiceovers are competently delivered. The actor is definitely channeling his inner Christopher Lee, but unfortunately for him, the game overuses him. In past RTS games, the voiceovers would chime in occasionally with "Unit Lost," which would let you know you've been slacking as a commander in one part of the battlefield. As time went by, games would let you know if critical units, like harvesters, would be under attack. In War for the Overworld, every time one of your units comes under attack, which is often, because it's a game about defending your dungeon and expanding your dungeon by conquering other dungeons, you'll hear the announcer say one of your minions is under attack. It'll say it even when you're intentionally sending them into battle, and when they're under attack on screen. Thankfully, you can turn off the voiceovers, but you shouldn't have to. During a few of my matches, the game would let me know that the core was under attack, a fair and good usage of voiceover notification. If my core dies, it's game over. I would send all of my minions to the core to wipe out all resistance, only to find a single enemy unit glitched inside the core, thereby making him invulnerable, making it an automatic game over when the single unit slowly scrapes down my core.
Your minions are in combat.
There are creatures assaulting your dungeon core. Your minions are under attack. Your dungeon is under attack.
The game's campaign does a good job of teaching basic and advanced tactics. There's multiplayer available and a sandbox mode on top of Skirmish Mode. There's also a survival mode, which the game admits is buggy and unfinished. I want to recommend this game. I want to like it. There's too few games in the market like it. I want it to be good. To be fair, the developers appear to be working hard at patching the game and improving the experience, but as of right now, to me, the game feels imbalanced, unpolished, glitchy, in need of a UI, and at times can simply be annoying. It's boiling over with potential, but I can't recommend this one for purchase. Not yet. Though I could look past a game like Evil Genius's foibles, I simply can't do it here. This video is made possible through generous fan donations on Patreon.